Hey all y'all, welcome back to my channel, and this is Knit Tea Live. Woo! I hope that you are having a wonderful Sunday and weekend as we are into these final weeks of 2020. We're surviving. Just real quickly, if there's any any technical issue with my audio or the camera, please let me know, because I have no idea of how this is all looking on your side of the interwebs. So just let me know, but thank you for joining me today. I have my coffee. My coffee's a little different today. Normally, I like to have my coffee with a little bit of milk, a little bit of sugar, but we are out of milk. So I had to go with the almond milk today. Pretty sure this is almond milk and not oat milk. Pretty sure I'm tasting almond. And I have to say, it's delightful. I'm very happy with having the almond milk. So, yay. So please make sure that if you are here and you are watching, say hi in the chat. So I can say hi to you directly, but welcome, Star Pony. Welcome, Sarah Collette. So glad you can be here this morning, this Sunday morning. What was I going to say? Shoot, it's like out of my head. Oh, I know. I'm going to be better about doing my disclaimers at the top during live stream. I forget all the time. But quick disclaimers. Yes, I use affiliate codes. Those are down in the description box. Affiliate codes mean if you use one of them while you're shopping, I might earn a small commission, and this just helps support my channel. And of course, I will never recommend a product or a service I can't fully 100% stand behind. So yes, that helps support my channel. So that's my disclaimer. I think that's the only disclaimer I need to make. Hey, Whitney, thank you for being here today. So for today's live stream, I am going to show you my whips. I have some, I'm like really honestly finishing the year strong with crafting. The whole Fasten Off Yarn Along 2020 that Kathleen Sperling and Rachie Nguyen put together has definitely fueled my crafting, and it has been a great experience. The discount period is now over. If you don't know what Fasten Off Yarn Along is, it's basically an online make-along that is off Ravelry. You can follow along with the Fasten Off on Instagram, on Twitter. I think they have a Facebook page that I'm not sure about. Or they have a Discord server. If you're comfortable with Discord, you can get on the Discord server. But there's all sorts of ways people are taking part in this. Designers signed up for it. There was a discount period where you could receive 25% or 20% off designer patterns. That discount period is now over. However, the Fasten Off is still continuing. There is a database of the designers and the patterns. If you're interested in looking at it at all, it's a great resource to find off-Rav designers and support their work. It's really, like, I can't say enough for the work that everyone who, like Kathleen Sperling, Rachie Nguyen, all of the volunteers, all the designers have just put together a great event, and it's been really fun to be a part of it. So yeah. And so upshot that though is I have projects. I have so many projects going on right now, which is great. So I'm going to show you my progress on those. I have an almost finished object to show off, and we will do pattern spotlight. And of course, I'll answer any questions you have, and we'll chat about whatever pops into my head, because if you know me at this point, you know I will go off on a tangent. So many tangents with me. And of course, if you are joining us on the replay, please, join into the conversation in the chat box down below. Another thing I need to remember to say, which is, please remember to give this a thumbs up. giving thumbs ups lets YouTube know this is a space worth checking out. And if for some reason you have stumbled upon this space for the first time, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. You might be wondering why I'm pointing up in the air. It's a habit I now have because I do that with my upload videos where I have little graphics that pop up. Anyway, I digress. There was something I was going to say. Oh, I'm very close. Oh, so close to 500 subscribers. Just as I was coming on live today, I looked at my subscriber count and it was like 482. And I don't know. I'm excited about that number. I'm excited about the half millennial mark for subscribers. I don't get any like additional YouTube features by hitting 500 subscribers, but it makes me go, okay, I'm having some humble success with this. So I'm excited about it. You know, my channel has been up for a little over a year, so that's exciting to me. Anyway, oh, and a couple of quick stories. One, I just want to talk a little bit about what I'm wearing today. I love this so much, and I'm so glad it's cool enough to start wearing it. This, you can't see the whole thing. I'll stand up a little bit so you can maybe see more of it. Okay, that's about as much as I'm going to stand up. This is the first garment I ever knitted. Well, that's not exactly true. This is the first garment I ever completed, and I did design it. And it's just a little kind of kimono style cardigan, and it's made of cotton, and it's like a big, comfy cotton blanket, and I love it. It's so soft. And it was like the easiest thing in the world because all I did was I just knitted squares. And this was the first big project that I seamed everything. So that was there was a lot of big first with this project. It was the first project. It was like the first garment I completed. It was the first garment I ever kind of came up with my own pattern. It's very simple. It's just a seed stitch border and then stockinette. And it's just squares. And the squares it was the first project I seamed. But I love this. And I think that's one of the really fun things about crafting knitwear or any kind of wearable work is that we don't just get something that's practical. We get something that has a story behind it. And whenever we wear it or we pull it out or we use it, we can remember the story of making it. And it's one of the things I love about crafting and knitting. Sarah, have any tutorials on knitting socks? I have, for knitting socks, I have 3 videos about aspects of sock knitting. One, I have a video on what's called the boomerang short row heel. That was the first video I ever did with sock knitting. Then I have a video on my 2 favorite cast-ons for socks, and it's a cast-on for cuff-down socks and then a cast-on for toe-up socks. And then I have a video on doing the strong heel. So I have 3 sock-specific videos right now. Something I'm thinking about doing for 2020, if people are interested. Well, I have a couple ideas. I'll just tell you right now. And you tell me what you think, okay? I'm just going to throw it out to the universe, see what you all think. Because there are some topics that are a little intensive for just YouTube video uploads. One of them is short rows, and I have my video on short rows, secrets reveal, or knitting secrets reveal, understanding short row structure, has actually sprung some questions, and I'm going to do a follow-up video to that. But I'm tooling around with the idea of doing like a short row class. If people are interested in that. The other thing I've been thinking about is maybe doing a sock class, just a basics socks class, if that would be something people are interested in. This year, at the beginning of this year, I did do a series of videos called Knitting Fundamentals. Was not the most exciting title. That was all about like for the first time knitter learning how to knit. And frankly, that series of videos was not terribly successful for me. It just wasn't. And it's a lot of time and energy to put in to those sorts of tutorials that are really going deep on one topic of any kind. And I guess I'm not sure it's something I want to do over YouTube, I guess is what I'm getting at. So anyway, if any of you think you might be interested in any type of kind of dedicated class, let me know your thoughts. I didn't know I was going to go there this morning. Not that, I mean, and I have more sock videos, by the way, FYI. I have more sock videos in my head that I would like to do. If there's any kind of particular topic or question about sock knitting that anybody has, I would love to do that video. I think, though, that my channel has attracted a lot of more, I would say, experience. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm going to stop now. I'm just babbling. I hope that answered your question, Sarah. I don't know if I did or not. I really sprung off in a direction I hadn't planned on going in. And that's part of the fun of Knit Tea Live. You just never know what I'm going to start saying. Okay, who's ready to look at some projects? Sorry. Oh, there was one more story. Before we get to projects, one more story I just wanted to tell this morning. My daughter, she's 3 years old. She clearly knows her mother at this point. Because this morning, we were getting up, we were getting dressed, we were sitting on the couch, and in the morning, she gets like a treat, a little TV treat. A couple of good, like, educational shows, and she's very imaginative, and she acts out the shows along with them. But anyway, so we're sitting down, I had my phone in my hand, and one of my knitting projects was on the couch, because all my knitting projects that I'm working on are on the couch, the purple couch. And she takes my phone out of my hand, and she picks up my project and puts it in my hand. And it was like, oh, I see. She's clearly decided that this is mommy knit time. And I just thought, oh my God, my child knows me too well. And it was just so funny. And, I was like, you know what? This is fine. It's fine if she thinks of me and this time as the time that mommy knits. I'm really hoping her watching me do all this stuff inspires her so that in a couple of years I can start teaching her and we can share in this together. And I hope. I'm not going to push it. I very much believe that when it comes to your kids and their interests, you kind of have to follow their lead. But I would really like her to be into crafting. We could share that together. I hope. Fingers crossed. Sarah, I want to make them from the toe up. Yeah, toe up socks are fun. And here's my idea I've been tooling around with, because I've been tooling around with the idea with a sock class where you do one sock from the cuff down, and then you do a matching sock from the toe up, and that way in the class you get a flavor of both. That's kind of my idea. Because there are a lot of sock constructions that you can do cuff down and toe up, and they'll match. So I would love to see that. Okay, cool. I will start. I love that feedback, because that encourages me to actually like sit down and write up a plan for it. Because that is something I would like to like possibly do in 2020. I have ambitions. Let's just put it that way. I'm an ambitious person. I like doing things. That's what I like to put it. I like doing things. And speaking of doing things, let's look at what has been on the purple couch. So, first thing I'm gonna do. Hey, Bear, I like that idea too. Yeah, I think it's a cool way of kind of approaching sock knitting. I'm gonna turn on my lamp real quick, and I'm gonna just see how this looks. Oh, you know what? It'll be fine. All right, we're gonna go with this. I think it would be a good way of kind of getting a taste of both socks. It's a lot of light on my face right now, but I need more light here to show off the project. So I'm going to switch to my overhead. Okay. So here we are, and sorry for the glare. Like I said, this is still not my ideal live stream setup. I'm working on it. But I am working on still the Tunisian crochet project, and look, the crochet hook is fixed. I did fix this week. You can see right here, even better, maybe. Right there. It's fixed. I use the 5-minute epoxy on this to get this fixed. I'm gonna turn the light off real quick since I'm on this right now. I gotta do some of this, and I'm gonna just make sure. Okay, cool. Go to the desk. This right here. This happened to my crochet hook about a week ago. And you know what? If you're gonna have an interchangeable crochet hook break, this is how you want it to happen, because really all that happened was the adhesive that holds the wood into the metal case, connector, whatever you call it. I'm so technically knowledgeable. It just came out. The adhesive wore out and it came out. I checked my other crochet hooks from the set and they were all fine. This was the only one that was an issue. So, I'm a new starter on sock knitting. Oh, cool, Sarah. Yes, I love sock knitting. Sock knitting is one of my favorite things. So I'm gonna turn the light back on now, and that's not what I want. This is the one I want. All right, so yeah, I fixed it. I did film me doing this. I'm not gonna do a YouTube video on it, but I might edit it together for a little Instagram video. So this is fixed now. I'm very excited. I got my Tunisian crochet project back up on the hook cable. And if you're looking at it and you're going, Carrie, I thought you were a little farther along than this. I was farther along at one point. I'm in the middle of a row, by the way. This is one of the cool things about Tunisian crochet. I think stopping in the middle of a row on Tunisian crochet is not a big deal. Like, you know, but here's a good section of it to look at right here. But after fixing the crochet hook, well, I should say after applying the epoxy to the crochet hook, I had to wait for it to dry and cure before I could actually start using it. And I started looking at where I was, and I'm going to show this part of it. The edge right here, this is the end of the row, and it just wasn't looking right. I don't know if I'm not reading the pattern correctly. I'm probably not reading the pattern correctly. But however I was doing the end of the row, I wasn't getting the correct stitch count. And I was trying to do different things to make it work, and it just looked like crap, frankly. That's the only way to say it. It looked like crap. The edge looked terrible. And I looked at it and I'm like, I don't want to live with this. And so I undid it. And I was at the 6th row, which was the final row of this, sorry, I keep flipping everything around. This light is like shining up in my face and it's not attractive. But, wrong one again. That's the one. But yeah, I was just looking at the edge and I was unhappy with it. And I was like, because I kept trying to do different things. So it was inconsistent and it looked sloppy. And I was like, I don't want to live with this. So I frogged back all of these rows here. And I started again. And I don't know if I'm doing it correctly with the edge, but I'm going to at least be consistently wrong and have it look okay. If I'm wrong, I can at least be consistently wrong. So yeah, and I'm much happier overall with how this is looking. But I'm enjoying this for sure. It's hard to see it right now because it's all crunched up. But I'm working on row 3 of this chevron section. And then I go back, after this, I go back and I do these interlock blocks again. So that's where I am with this. and it's all scrunched up right now on the crochet hook, but that's where it is. And I love, by the way, this color combination. I love it. And it's hard to see on the live stream, but this yarn, I have kind of a love-hate with this yarn right here. Oh my god. This yarn, I don't know if you can really see it. You're not going to be able to see it probably very well on the live stream, but it's very splitty. It's a very loose spin. Here's the ball of it. It's beautiful. It's incredibly soft. It has silk in it, so it has a gorgeous shimmer to it. Oh god. It was not always this dark over here. I don't know what has gone on. It's always been tough. I hate this. I'm so like, anyway, whatever. But it's very loosely spun. Like it's like two strands that are barely hanging together, so it's kind of splitty. It's a splitty yarn, and that it actually works okay with Tunisian crochet, but I definitely have to be careful with my hook that my hook doesn't split the two plies. But it's beautiful and it's soft, and the combination of the two colors together, I think, are gorgeous. And I'm very pleased with how this is looking now. But this is definitely going to be a longer term project for sure. So let me know if you have any questions about Tunisian crochet. I'm not an expert at it, but I know the basics. And I highly encourage people. I'm going to have to just deal with it. The lighting situation. I think what's going on, just I'm gonna turn this off for a second because it's driving me nuts. I've talked about this before, but here's the thing. Because of the live stream setup, there's a lot of shadow that gets thrown onto my desk that's not here when I'm just filming videos for uploads. And earlier in the year, I was getting a lot more light from my window over here, and that was helping this area. But clearly I'm not getting as much light as I was. And so this area's gotten darker, and what I need is just a light overhead, like right here, and I don't have one, so I'm trying to use this OT light, and it's less than ideal. And I probably stress about it more than you guys do, but that is because my background is actually in media production, so I'm just like, oh, it's killing me. That professional side in me, it's just killing me. But I should get my husband in here and see if he can figure something out, because he works in cameras. Here we go. Well, let's move on and keep looking at the whips and like stop spewing my insecurity. All right, so next up is the blanket repair. If you've been following along, you know that I've been working on fixing my friend's blanket that got torn in the wash. This was her child. This was made by a family friend for her first child, and my friend wants to be able to keep it as a keepsake, so I'm just like kind of getting this in position real quick. She's been waiting to keep this as a keepsake. And it's a really cute blanket. It has these squares, these blocks of like penguins that are created through knit purl combinations. Turn the light back on. Yes. That's better. Too much light on me, but okay, that works better. Okay. I'm blown out, but that's okay. I can live with it. In fact, I might just go to the overhead cam. There we go. So anyway, I have finished this section right here. Not that section. This section right here, I have fixed. Where these two locking stitch markers are, this cast-on row was torn, and there were 5 missing stitches. 5 of them. Can you believe that? And so I grafted on a new cast-on edge, and I worked up, and there was this whole big hole, tear right up here, and you know, I can get one side to look really good. I'll show you the back side and you'll see the damage on the back side. So this is what I patched over. So right here is the missing, is where the cast on edge got torn. And then this, all this, these stitches were torn. And so what I did was I knitted up a patch to cover this over. And the way I did it was I grafted on a new bind-on row. What the heck? I grafted on a new a set of cast-on stitches, and then I knitted up the patch and kind of grafted the edges of the patch to the blanket as I went along. And so basically what I'm doing is covering over the holes. So yeah, that's what it's looking like now. And I'm very, oops, not that section, this section right here. This is where I'm working right, this section is complete. And I'm very excited that this part is complete. I feel like I came up with a lot of kind of good solutions in this area that are going to serve me well for the next area that I'm repairing. And that is over here. And this, I thought the cast on edge, when I looked at the blanket and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, I thought repairing that cast on edge was going to be kind of like my Mount Everest, reaching the top of Mount Everest. No, I think now it's this section. What has happened over here is really interesting. These stitches got torn, and the tear basically went up, and it goes then diagonally across and then up again. But I have all these strings here that are helping me kind of keep everything aligned, because this area, the blanket has sort of gone skewy. And there are areas, like here's a good example. Right here, this strand is attaching on two sides. So these are rows, but if I don't keep everything straight, it looks like these rows aren't actually, they're separate rows on either side of the tear. So I'm having to be just very careful as I'm going to go through this section of making sure that I keep the rows lined up. The other thing that's going to be tricky with this section is, like, okay, right here, this area of the hole of the tear, I can patch up pretty easily, but then everything kind of just shifts over. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of problem solving as I kind of move up, because I will get up to this area here, and then I'm going to be into a stable column of stitches, at which point I will graft these stitches that are on the needle to the section and kind of end the repair in that area, but then I got to shift everything over. I don't know if anything I said just makes sense, but it all makes sense in my head. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this to work, but it's definitely going to take a little bit of time, because just in addition to figuring out how to work the patch to cover over this tear, I also just have to be cognizant of trying to match the tension of what I'm doing with the repair to the blanket around it. So that's where this blanket repair is at right now. And this is definitely like something I dive into when I'm clear-headed. This is not the project I pick up when I'm like 30 minutes from going to bed, or should have gone to bed an hour ago. I need to be clear-headed when I can do this. But it's been, you know what? It's been kind of fun, because it's kind of a fun puzzle and project and problem solving to work on. So that, oops, wrong one. Still the wrong one. That's fine. That's something, that's always something that's really nice to have. It's, again, something else I always enjoy with knitting is the problem solving aspects of it. Even when doing like your like someone else's pattern, at some point you're probably gonna have to problem solve something, whether it's like understanding what the directions really say, or just utilizing a technique that maybe isn't your favorite, you know, and stuff. So Sarah Bear, still, I'm still a beginner at the knitting socks. I tried 2 at a time on a long cable, but found it frustrating. If I made a mistake on one sock, yeah, I had to go back to fix it. Yeah, Bear, I'm totally with you on that in sock knitting. I am now an experienced sock knitter, and I do not like knitting 2 socks at a time. I think it's more trouble. Whoops. Everything's okay. I think it's more trouble than what it's worth. And I know why people do it. People like to do it because it's to avoid second sock syndrome. Because that's the thing with sock knitting, is a lot of times you knit the first sock, and then you're like, you don't want to knit the second one. And if you do it 2 at a time, hey, you avoid that. But yeah, I don't like managing all the balls of yarn. Star Pony. I've only used DPNs to make socks. Do you like using the DPNs to make socks, Star Pony? I'm really curious about that, because I'm trying to think, have I ever completed a pair of socks on DPNs? I don't think so. I've always gravitated personally with using 2 circular needles to knit socks with. That's my favorite way of knitting socks. I like the organization of it. How did you find that, Star? Yes. Cool. I did try to use DPNs when I did my Fair Isle socks, which is in my logo. But it was just too much. Trying to do Fair Isle and manage my DPNs, it was like too much. I'm abandoning ship. I'm going back to 2 circular needles. I love it. Star Pony. I want to try socks on 2 circulars, but I haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, you know what? I really like, personally, I really like the organization of doing two circular needles with socks, because the heel you have on your one needle, and the rest of the stitches that are just hanging out waiting to be worked when everything gets joined back up in the round again, they're just hanging out on that back needle and they're fine. Some people don't love working on 2 circular needles because they feel like it's a lot to manage with the 2 cables. But speaking of 2 circular needles, let me show you next whip, because it is on 2 circular needles. Yes. Get this here. I have casted on my second project for the Fasten Off Yarn Along 2020, and it is the Liz Cork Fingerless Glove pattern that I have been loving for a really long time, and the name of which I cannot pronounce, but means lavender in Gaelic. It's, loose nutweed? If you go to my Instagram, you will see the name of it. Alright, so let's go. Yeah. So here it is. I started this yesterday, and I have my 2 circular needles on the 2 circular needles. So I don't know if any of you voted, I can't remember, or if you remember, I want to zoom in a little bit. There we go. You can really see it better now. There we go. And the glare is, oh, that's how I did it. Okay. So I cast it on yesterday, and using, for the first time in a project, I used the Estonian cast on, and I gotta say, I loved it. It's so nice. The Estonian cast on is a variation of the longtail cast on, and it's great for 1x1 ribbing. See how much stretch this has? But it's still a nice firm edge. So I can see why people really love this for sock knitting. Look how much elasticity there is to this. I think I'm going to do a video in the new year where I just show some good cast-ons for 1x1 rib. Because there's a whole bunch of cast-ons that you can use for 1x1 rib that's really nice. And I gotta say, this might be one of the easiest to do, and I'm a huge, huge fan of this now. Sorry, I'm looking at just the chat. So yeah, but I did this on 2 circular needles. And if you're not familiar with how 2 circular needle knitting works, you have your work divided with half of your stitches on one circular needle, and I use a 16-inch circular needle for this technique. Unless I'm using double-pointed needles and I don't have 16-inch cables for my interchangeable needles, in which case I use a 24-inch cable. I just try to use the shortest cable I can. And then, but you have half your stitches on one needle and then half your stitches on the other needle. And what you do is, I always think of the phrase, sisters knit together. And by that I mean, here are the tips on one circular needle, and you always, oh, this is the one. You work your stitches on the front needle, and you make sure that you're using the left needle is coming off the same cable as the right needle. That's how I can say it. And then when you get to the end of the row, you turn the work and you use the second circular needle to knit the rest of the round. If you're at all familiar with Magic Loop, it is actually very similar to Magic Loop. It's just that instead of having a cable here that you're pulling out, you're knitting with two circular needles instead. Anyway, I should do a whole video on it because I love it. I love knitting with two circular needles. It's one of my favorite ways of knitting in the round. I like it more than Magic Loop, truth be told. I think it was a stone. I like the look of it too. Would love to see another video on cast-ons. Yeah, I want to do a video actually on Bindoffs. And I'm debating whether to organize it in the sense of, here are matching Bindoffs for these common cast-ons, or doing like I did with my cast-on video and being like, you know, these are the Bindoffs that every knitter needs to know. Because I was somebody who was like knitting, I think, for 10 years before I knew there was more than one way to bind off. I was knitting for years. Half of my knitting life. Because I've been knitting for like over 20 years now. Oh, wow. Oh, that just hit me. That hit me right in the, over 20 years now. But there was a good portion of my knitting life that I only thought there was one bind off. And there is not. There are many bind offs. There are many bind offs that I think are better than the chain bind off, which is like the first bind off most people learn. But yes, stretchy bind offs. That's a really good category of bind offs. There's a whole bunch. I mean, it's a whole video. Agreed with Star Pony. But yeah, but this, I'm gonna go back to here. There we go. Okay. Oh, I gotta do this right. Okay, that's right. That's good. Sorry. I gotta stop stressing about that light. Anyway, so this project, I did put a poll up on Instagram asking people if I should knit this whole project using Continental Knitting. And 5 people voted, and they all voted yes. So I started off this project doing Continental Knitting, and I fully intended to do the whole project with Continental Knitting. But then I got up into this section here, and this is what makes this project special. This is a mock cable pattern. This is a twisted stitch pattern, but it uses increases and decreases to create this movement of stitches, and it's beautiful. But this is twisted stitches, so you're constantly knitting through the back loop, and when you do the decreases, you are having to do decreases through the back loop, and you're doing increases. You have to maintain this 1x1 ribbing, because this 1x1 ribbing is throughout the entire fingerless glove, and so you're having to do purl make ones. And I gave it the college try with Continental Knitting and doing those increases and decreases, and I finally went this morning, woke up, and I said, I like this project too much to be miserable. And I'm miserable right now trying to do Continental Knitting and this project. This is not the project that's going to convince me that Continental Knitting is something I want to do for an entire project. This is not it. Maybe there's another one out there, but I switched back to doing my lever knitting, and I am much happier now. I am much happier now. And I mean, I thought this would be a good project to try to do all Continental because the entire glove is 1 by 1 ribbing. And if you watched my most recent video, which was about, I'm gonna turn this, my most recent video, which was all about knitting faster with ribbing, and I talked about Continental and English style knitting in that video. Continental knitting, generally with 1 by 1 ribbing, is more efficient than English knitting. It is, it's just a fact. But yeah, not this project. This is not the project that I want to do all in Continental. That's my personal preference, and that's my comfort. So I'm not saying if you get this project and you're a Continental knitter, you're going to be as unhappy as I was. You probably won't be, because you probably love knitting Continental and you're very used to doing these sorts of techniques as a Continental knitter and know how to manage it. And it's a really fun pattern to work. But that was just my personal experience, which was, this is just not for me. And when it comes to Continental knitting, I want to knit English. I want to be happy. I want to be in my happy place. So I was a little concerned that my tension would be crazy off when I did the switch, but I think you'd be hard pressed to see what row I just switched back to doing lever knitting. I think you'd be really hard pressed to tell. So this is the back of the glove, by the way. And I have tiny, tiny, tiny wrists. Tiny wrists. My wrists are it's like 6 inches around. And this glove is a small, and it'll be like it's supposed to be like 5.5 inches. And I think I could almost go down in needle size and have it fit even more snugly, but it's just gonna just fit me in the sense of it not being too big. I did not do a gauge, by the way, for this project. I forgone. I decided not to do a gauge swatch for this, and I decided not to do a gauge swatch for this project because it's fingerless gloves, and by the time I went through everything to knit a gauge swatch for this, I could have finished the first glove. And the thing with fingerless gloves, I feel like they're a small enough project that I can check the gauge after doing the cuff and have a good idea if I need to change needles and start over or not. And I'm willing to take the risk. I'm willing to take the risk with a fingerless glove and forego the gauge swatch. So I did not gauge swatch this. I am a rogue knitter on this project. So, and I am usually a big advocate for doing your gauge swatches and not skipping them. All right, so let me know if you have any questions about this. I'm very excited about it. And, of course, if you ever want to follow my progress on projects, I post to Instagram. I'm getting really better about posting consistently to Instagram. I'm very excited. Okay, last project. Oh, man. Last project I'm going to show today, and this is nearly finished, and that is the boot cuffs. Yes. This is the lace. This is from that Metz Bauer girl. These are the Old English lace boot cuffs. They are knitted flat, and then the two ends get grafted together. So this is what it'll be like in the end, like that. But before I graft the ends together, the pattern says to weave in all your tails, block the boot cuff, and then graft the ends together. And it's always easier to block. First of all, you pretty much always need to block lace. Now, this is pretty open lace. This doesn't look like utter poo the way lace can look when you're working it on the needles before you blocked it, because that's one of the fun things to me about lace is you're going to be working it, and it's going to look like just a rolled up dish rag almost, and you're going to be like, really? This is going to be pretty in the end? Really? And then you block it, and magic occurs. It's like a magic potion comes and spreads across the yard, and everything opens up, and the lace appears, and it's like a I'm gonna mix my metaphors. It's like while you're working the lace on your needles, it's like a little caterpillar, maybe not the most attractive bug in the world, but then you block it, and it unfurls and becomes a butterfly. And anyway, that's my feelings about lace knitting. And it's always easier to block flat. However, I do want to use my tail to graft my ends together because it saves me an end to weave in, and that's just what I want to do. But I don't want to submerge this, wash, and block the way I normally would, because if I do that, first of all, it's going to make my tail really fuzzy and difficult to graft with, but also I've got live stitches here, which you can't see right now. See if I can get a little close. Oh, there you can see. These right here are all live stitches at the top. If I wash this and then try to block it, these stitches are going to bloom, and I think they could be trickier. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they could be trickier to graft if I tried to graft them after doing a full wash and block as I normally would. So I'm going to do a different blocking technique with this project, which I talked about last week, but I'm going to use a spray bottle. I'm going to use this pin and spray technique for it, which means this is going to be dry. I will pin this out on the board to the shape that I want it. It's hard to see right now, but these actually have little points that need to be defined in the blocking process. So I will pin this out dry, get this into the shape that I want. I'll spray it all with water to get it like nice and saturated, and that will open up the knitting and the lace enough that I'll have a nice block, and block it that way. And that should hopefully then keep these live stitches from blooming too much, because it's just not going to get as wet, and it'll keep kind of the integrity of my tail so I can graft with it. After it dries, then I'll graft it, and then I'll wash it, and then it might need another kind of light blocking after that. We'll see. Kind of depends on the fiber content and the pattern itself, if I need to do then kind of a post-wash block or just reshaping. So that's kind of my plan with this, but I will have these finished by the end of the year. I'm planning later today to do the pin and spray method with this. I don't think I'm going to do a dedicated YouTube video for that, frankly, because my blocking video that I did a couple weeks ago didn't do well. Just didn't do well. That's okay. Not everything is going to blow up, and that's fine. But I think what I will do is probably like just cut together a short video to put up on Instagram so you can kind of see what that process looks like, because it's not complicated. It's not a complicated process by any stretch of the imagination. And if you know how to do a good wet block, you're going to be fine doing a spray block. So that is everything that has been on the purple couch. I got a lot going on. Got a lot going on. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta move this actually. Sorry, I was loading everything up on top of my Bluetooth keyboard. I love seeing how much there's been chatting going on in the chat box today. Yay! I'm sorry if I haven't been totally responsive to everything that's going on in the chat. I hope I haven't missed anything. Have you tried, oh, Whitney, have you tried small 9-inch circular needles? If so, did you like them? I have personally not used 9-inch circular needles. The reason I have not tried them is I don't think I'd like them. But there's part of me that feels like that might be like another review I could do, or at least try out, because I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong if I like them or not. The reason I suspect that they're not for me is that because I use a knife grip, I tend to lean towards wanting a longer tip. And 9-inch circular needles use short tips. Like, they're going to be shorter tips. There's no way around it. And I could switch how I knit. I could switch over to I use a pencil grip. I could switch over to the knife grip, or I could try doing continental knitting with it, where I do use a knife grip for that. So, but yeah, I haven't tried 9-inch circulars. I know there are people who love them, like swear by them. But I also know there are people who love like the Addy Flexi Flips, which is a review that I did, and I wasn't a huge fan of those. So, but everybody has their own preferences. Everyone's got to kind of find the method that works best for them and their type of knitting. But I might try the 9-inch circulars because I am curious. I am curious if they could win me over. These socks. Let's see, 2.5 knitting needle United Kingdom. What cast on? I think it was Estonian. It was an Estonian cast on the fingerless glove. I like to see a video. We talked about that. Whitney, I have tried, but they hurt my hands to use. Yeah, that's my concern, Bear. Bear was just saying the 9-inch circulars hurt her hands. And that's been my concern. I've been concerned that I would feel like I was very cramped. That they would just be very like, so. Yeah, Whitney, I feel like I won't like them at all, but I want to try them. I'm the same way, Whitney. I feel like I'm so skeptical of them, and yet I still sit there and I'm like, but I want to try them because I don't know. So, because you don't know until you try them. And like I said, I know people who swear by them and say they're great, that there's it's not even a learning curve. You kind of have to figure out how to make them comfortable for yourself. So, okay, who wants to do a little pattern spotlight to wrap things up today? Because there were quite a number of new patterns on the Fiber Indie list this week, or Fiber Happenings, I should say. I know I inadvertently took a week off from Fiber Happenings, and I felt kind of badly about it, but the truth is, like, last week was just kind of a crazy week in general, and there weren't a whole lot of new pattern releases, and I was just like, I needed to give myself permission to, because, like, the Fiber Happenings is something I do because I want to try and be a resource for people, but, you know, it's a side thing. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I love it, but sometimes I have to, like, give myself some breathing room. Yeah, Bear, I say if you can afford to, it's worth a shot if you end up really liking them. And that's the thing. I don't think they're terribly expensive. I'll have to look into it. I feel like it's really, you know what I wish? I wish that maybe there is. You guys know about it. I wish that there was almost a lending library for knitting needles where you could just get a set to try out, to test run, without having to go to an LYS. Just have it sent to your house, try them, and go, yeah, I love this. No, I don't love them. And kind of a Warby Parker for knitting needles. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? That'd be so cool, right? Because that's the thing. You're like, you sit there and you're like, well, I kind of want to try this. But what if I spend the money on it and I don't like them? Then what? You know? That would be awesome. I know. I just had my $1 million idea, didn't I? Is anybody like an entrepreneur who would want to partner with me to come up with that service for crafters? Because I'm not entrepreneurial in that way. I'm an ideas person, okay? I'm an ideas person. All right, so let's look at Fiber Happenings. I'm just going to make sure real quick I'm on the correct window. Okay. Desktop share composite. Yes. All right, so here we are on the Fiber Indie list, and I'm going to try to make sure I scroll slowly so that I don't make anyone feel ill. fiber happenings. Of course, Fasten Off Yarn Along 2020 is still going on. You can still take part. Like I said, the discount period is over, but the database is still up if you want to look at patterns. There's so many great patterns. And if you follow Fasten Off 2020 on Instagram or Twitter or both, they are constantly kind of featuring patterns up, and it's a lot of fun to just look at. You can see all the pretty things. And don't we all want to look at the pretty things? Oh, by the way, you'll see here, Joanne has finally accepted me into their affiliate program, so I am now a Joanne's affiliate. And yeah, that's cool. I like Joanne's. I know this sounds self-serving, but I like Joanne's. I have my old place. I had a Joann's and a Michael's near me. The Joann's was fine. It was a smaller one. It was fine, but it was close. And the Michael's was bigger, and you know, I liked that one better. But because the bigger ones always have more stuff to look at. Now it's the opposite since I moved into my house where I'm near a Joann's and a Michael's, but the Joann's is the big one and the Michael's is the smaller one. But I gotta say, the Joann's, like, and this is true of Joann's and Michael's, by the way, because the big box yarn companies, Lion Brand, Bernat, etc., they are now coming out with wool products, whether it's a wool acrylic blend or it's 100% wool. They're starting to come out with these things. So you're able to find better quality yarn at big box stores generally. And of course, I always support indie dyers and spinners. But reality is reality. And sometimes a lot of people only have within easy access to them a Joann's or a Michael's or a craft store I'm not going to name, but we all know what I'm talking about, I think. That's what they have access to. And so sometimes you need to be able to drive to a store and go in and get something. So, oh, thanks. Thank you for the congratulations. I'm honestly, joining the affiliate programs is like usually not a big deal. Like you just kind of go, hey, I want to be an affiliate, and a lot of the companies will just approve. But I applied to the Joann's affiliate program a while ago, and it was like nothing. And I think they just get a lot of people asking to join their program, and so it just took a while to see my application. But I'm glad because I like Joann's, and if you saw my epic review on acrylic yarn, I am a big fan of their Big Twist yarn, and I did that review before I was an affiliate, so you know that's a legit opinion, okay? And I'm always going to say this because it's true. My success relies on you trusting me and what I am saying and my integrity. And if I don't maintain that, being a trusted source, then I'm not going to succeed. And so it's not worth it to me to ever recommend a service or a product or a store that I really can't like be behind. Some that I've joined, I sometimes take issue with some of it, but at the same time I'm like, I'm not saying don't use them because of various reasons. Like I know Amazon, for example, which they kicked me out of their affiliate program because my subscriber rate wasn't high enough, and that's fine, I get it. Like they have 1 million people who want to be in their program. They got to be a little more discerning. That's fine. And I know a lot of people have problems with Amazon. I have issues with Amazon. I have big ethical issues with Amazon. It's a love-hate sort of thing. But at the same time, life is real. And sometimes you just need to be able to use the service that you have access to. And, and the fact is, there are a lot of small businesses that sell through Amazon fulfillment services. Am I not supposed to support that small business because they're having to rely on Amazon? Etsy. Etsy is a venture capitalist venture, but at the same time, there's a lot of small businesses that have grown and rely on Etsy, to get eyeballs in front of them. Like, millions of people go onto Etsy. I know, because I did the research, because I did the blog, the blog for Payhip about it. And it's kind of like, I want to support those small businesses. So, you know, I'm not going to be snobby about Etsy, because I would like Etsy to treat some of their people. I shouldn't say all this. I'm being too honest. But Etsy still provides a really valuable platform for a lot of small cottage businesses and small businesses, and for people to sell their stuff and their work and be seen. And it's a valuable thing. It's kind of like a big mall, you know, on the internet. And anyway, I'm babbling. I'm going to stop. I'm going to get to the pattern spotlight, because we don't have much time left, and I'm going late again. Okay, so first up, oh, I gotta switch over to the desktop share. There we go. First up is one of my favorite, they're all my favorite designer. I can't choose between all of them. But this is Periwinkle Dragon Designs, and this is the Acceleration Sock. This is a really lovely sock, and if you have at all looked at Periwinkle Designs' work, Carolyn Lyle's work, a lot of it features very interesting constructions, short rows, and things of this nature. This sock is a more straightforward project from her, and it's still really interesting and cool. It uses a knit purl combination to create a chevron pattern that runs from the toe up to the cuff, and it has what I believe is a short row heel construction. So I think this is a really cool sock if you just want to knit up something quickly. Let's see. It uses fingering weight yarn that's held double, so this is a project where maybe if you wanted to use a DK or a heavy DK weighted yarn, you could try to do that. And also the sock construction may be straight. Oh, this was my editor's note. But it's sized for adult. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, it's a cool sock, and it doesn't take a ton of time. And if you're looking for a sock gift project, am I saying that right? This could be a good option for you. Sure. That'd be cool. Congratulations, Bear. Do you like the Yarn Swift you have, and would you recommend it or another? I love my Yarn Swift. I love my Yarn Swift. I have the umbrella style Yarn Swift. I believe it's Stanwood. I bought it over 10 years ago, and I don't remember the exact brand. But it's a wooden umbrella style Swift. Stanwood makes this style. I love it. It works really great. I've never had a problem with it. I would not, if you're going to get an umbrella style one, I would not get a metal. You see those. You see metal, plastic, umbrella style Swifts. They're less expensive. I have always seen that they don't hold up particularly well, and so I would avoid those. The other style Swift that you see is the Amish style Swift. I personally, the reason I didn't go that direction is I feel like it just takes up more space. The umbrella style Swift is very compact, and it does store, if you can't have a permanent winding station set up, it stores in your closet very nicely. I don't think you can really go wrong, by the way, with either style. Either the umbrella or the Amish Swift, you're going to be fine. It's just about what suits your life better. Because the one thing about the umbrella style Swift is you do need to be able to clamp it onto the edge of a table or a shelf or something like that. So, all right, continuing with Pattern Spotlight. Oh, this is from the Devious Knitter, Amy Snell. This is the Glenborough cowl. This is a unisex cowl that mimics plaid, and I think that this is a neat project. I'm really curious about the construction of it because it's not in Tarja and she's not using duplicate stitch. What did she say? Because she submitted this. The cowl is the closest I could come to creating a plaid without warping a loom. Though it looks complicated, the special stitches that create this effect are straightforward and easy once you've done it once or twice. The pattern contains specific instructions and links to video tutorials for the special technique used. I'm not exactly sure the technique that she used for this. She did not specify. But I think it's really cool, and I suspect, this is what I suspect. I suspect that it might be using a vertical stranded technique. There's a technique called vertical stranding. It's a little hard to explain. It's not intarsia, but it's kind of like intarsia. I don't know. No, I haven't done it. I have a video on it. I haven't done it, so I don't feel like I could talk about it clearly enough. But it may not be that. She could be using a slip stitch technique with a crochet hook. I'm not exactly sure. But it's really cool looking, and you really could take this in a lot of different directions depending on the color combination that you chose to use. And I think it's cool. Next, we have Lori Design. Man, she is just a powerhouse designer, and she's ending the year strong with 2 different projects. She has the Bumpy Road scarf, and that is this blue fade scarf. It's the second. Let's just go to her PayHip store to see it more clearly. Could just go there. Here we go. This is the Bumpy Road scarf. It's a Tunisian crochet scarf. If you haven't tried Tunisian crochet, or you haven't done it in a while, this would probably be a really good project to go with, because it looks like very straightforward stitch patterns. Like, you would be able to do more than just the Tunisian simple stitch with it. But it uses fingering weight yarn with a 5mm hook, and yeah, I think it's really a cool looking scarf. And then the other one is the Tier scarf, T-I-R. And this is neat. It's a chevron pattern. And she says this is good for an advanced beginner, this scarf. So, like I said, I feel like every week Lori Designs has a new project out. Like, I'm always like, oh, she has another one. This project uses DK weight yarn, by the way. What did she say? Skill level, advanced beginner to intermediate. Basic knowledge of Tunisian crochet is assumed. And one nice thing with Lori Design is she does have video tutorials on her website, and she does provide very clear instructions on a lot of the basic techniques within the pattern itself. So, yeah, I'm becoming a big Tunisian crochet stan. I really am. And this is, by the way, if you're into Tunisian crochet or want to give it a try, this is the Knit Picks Tunisian crochet. I am a Knit Picks affiliate, but it is the crochet hook. This is a Knit Picks interchangeable crochet hook that I use. They don't have my color anymore. It's called Caspian. They don't do this for the crochet hooks anymore, or at least the interchangeable one. Next is That Metzbauer Girl, and she has a whole series of socks inspired by states, and this is the Nebraska sock. And it is so freaking cool, this sock, because I'm actually going to go to the Lovecraft store so that we can zoom in on it. But this sock has a little bit of lace at the cuff, and then the body of the sock is a very straightforward kind of basket weave knit purl combination. But look at the gusset. That gusset uses a lace pattern in the gusset, and I just think it's a really cool idea. It's a really decorative way of approaching it. Do I think it's the most practical construction? Maybe not. This is probably a sock that you're not going to wear every day, but it's so cool. It's just a cool sock. And I think this is really interesting. Just a little lace insert on the gusset is a really unusual place, and I could totally see myself like if it's a chilly day around the house, going, you know what? I'm going to put on those socks. I have company coming over. I'm going to put on these socks and show them off. So, yeah, I think it's a very cool sock. Like I said, she has a whole sock series that are inspired by different states. This is her Nebraska sock. And you can find them all at her Lovecraft store. And she also has a webpage. That Inspire Girl, she's on the Fiber Indie list, so you can find all of her links on the Fiber Indie list under Knitting Indie. Next, I think that's it for the new patterns. I think we looked at this already. This is Liz Cork sock. Yes. Okay, so those are all the new patterns that I have up on the Fiber Indie list this week. There's a lot of neat, cool things in it, and ran a little bit late. That's okay, because I usually do. But I started late too, so maybe I just need to accept that I'm going to do these for like an hour and 15 minutes. But I feel like today was a really good live stream. Can I just say, I'm just going to admit to my insecurity right now. I sit there and I'm like, oh, Gary, why do you say half the things you say in the live stream? Because I really do just start talking off the top of my head. But I believe that is it for today. So it is plug time. Again, if you would like to leave me a tip, oh, I forgot to mention, my birthday was on Friday. So yeah, that happened. Yeah, my birthday was Friday night. This is my birthday weekend. And yeah, just that happened. But if you'd like to leave me a tip as a little birthday present, you can always buy me a coffee. That link is down in the description box. Or if you're planning to do any shopping with one of my affiliates, please consider using one of my affiliate links, or I might, earn a small commission. It's kind of a win-win. You purchase something you're planning to get, I get a little commission, and it helps support the channel. So thank you so much. For people who have left me a tip or have used one of my affiliate links, it is greatly appreciated, because to steal Jillian's, Eve's phrase, gotta fund the mission. But of course, the number one free way to support my channel is to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the notification bell, which lets YouTube know that this is a space worth checking out. This week's video is coming up. This Friday, I'm having a video on weaving in ends for garter stitch, rib, and seed stitch. So I am going to discuss duplicate stitch in those situations, but I'm also going to discuss weaving your ends using a horizontal weave and vertical weave. So more tools in the weaving ends toolbox, and looking at those sorts of different types of textured stitch patterns, because yes, I love my duplicate stitch for weaving in ends, but there are times that it is not the right tool, and it's good to know other methods. And then we'll see what comes up the week after that. I've got so many ideas that I'm actually having a hard time focusing on one. If you want to know the God's honest truth. But it's okay. I'm very excited. Last Monday I shot 2 videos in one day, and I was like, yes. I don't know. I was like on fire that day, apparently. So yeah, that's what this week's video is going to be on. It's going to be on weaving ends. So yes. And yeah, I think that's everything. Man, is that everything? I think that's everything. So, thank you for the happy birthday wishes. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. I'm going to just admit right now, my birthday is not necessarily like, I don't hate my birthday. It's not that. And I don't hate the idea of getting older. Well, I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. But it's just my birthday falling during the time of year that it does, which is 2 weeks before Christmas. It just always gets a little lost in the holiday rush. it's smack in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it just always gets a little lost in everything. And like, so it's always like, oh yeah, that's coming up. So half the time I look at the calendar, it's like, oh, my birthday's this week. That's happening. And also Hanukkah started like the night before my birthday. So, but I had a lovely birthday. I did. I had a lovely birthday here at home. My husband made me lemon meringue pie because I love pie. I like cake. I love pie. So he made me a lemon meringue pie. I had a dirty martini because that's like my drink. Like, that's my I'm feeling fancy drink. My feeling fancy drink is a dirty martini. So, and yeah, it was really just lovely night and low key, which is actually how I kind of like having my birthday. Like, I like low key. And we ordered in Mexican food because for whatever reason, I always want Mexican food on my birthday. I'm gonna, you know what? You wanna know the truth? I'm really looking forward to the day that we can go to a restaurant again. I am. It's not gonna be anytime soon, but it's something to look forward to. Alright, so that's it for this week. Thank you all for joining me. I so appreciate all of you being here, whether it's live or watching on the replay. I am humbled by the responses that I get, and I'm just humbled. And you know, this time, I hope, is always like just a good time for everyone who comes and joins in. So thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your support. It is just, I want you to know I appreciate all of you so much. Every day I'm grateful. When I think of my blessings, I think of my gratitudes, my subscribers, you guys who show up at the live streams, again, whether it's during replay or live, you're always on my list. So thank you. And I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna cry and then my mascara is gonna smear, and nobody needs to see that. Nobody needs to see running mascara on a Sunday morning. All right, so thank you so much. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I hope you have a great week ahead. We are getting to the end of 2020. We are all hanging in there, and you know, I believe we're gonna finish strong. I believe we are gonna finish strong on 2020. That is what I've decided. I'm going to will that into the universe. So anyway, thank you so much again. I keep saying thank you. And yeah, as always. Oh wait, no, don't stop. I gotta set up my end card. Every week I'm like about to start. I'm like, wait, no, one thing I gotta set up. Okay. So I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, like I said, and as always, happy health and happy knitting. Bye.